I hate Windows so much. This webcam, which is currently sitting in a very precarious, very temporary position, just for right now. Of course, it has a microphone built into it. And of course, Windows, I have my audio settings tuned so they are just so. And of course, Windows says, oh, you plugged in a webcam mic? That's your new default. Of course. Why wouldn't it be? You wanted that, didn't you?
Well, it has the newest model number. So
good.
And it's a combined device, microphone and camera. So of course you just want to use one thing instead of two, right?
Right. Of course.
Oh, you sound way better. Different? Oh my gosh.
Yep, I thought so. So the nice thing is, because for some reason in this instance Audacity is smarter than Windows, Audacity was this whole time has been using the correct microphone, not the stupid Logitech microphone built into the webcam. It's actually a pretty decent webcam, but the microphones in all webcams are garbage.
Yeah.
Especially compared to this.
Yeah.
I hate Windows. I swear to God. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
I just bought a Windows USB stick into my new computer.
That's fine. We don't have a choice.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do? It's a monopoly.
I've said so many times recently, for years, and actually, I mean, still right today, I'm very much against Apple's walled garden. I don't really like the idea of their ecosystem being so cut off from everything. But I've thought recently I almost feel shame for saying it because I've been so against it in the past.
Don't you dare.
But if I could play my Steam library on a Mac, I'd buy in. I'd have an iPhone. I'd have a MacBook Pro. I'd have a Mac desktop. I'd completely buy into the whole ecosystem. I would.
Why?
Because it just works. I'm so tired. Like when I was in college, in high school, college, after college, I loved fiddling. I loved fiddling with everything until everything was like just so, and all of my settings were exactly how I wanted them to be, and all the devices were exactly how I wanted them to be.
Yeah.
And I'm so tired of fiddling. I hate it. I'm tired of fiddling with settings and things so that it works right. And Windows does like this, where it just decided that microphone should be the default, even though it's the worst mic that I have plugged into this machine.
Yeah.
I know how to fix that, but no one else in my circle, in my family, is going to know how to fix a problem like that. It's so frustrating. And I've seen, since I've started working at Hi, Zach. I've seen my bosses have MacBooks, and they have their work MacBooks tied to their like personal iPhones, and like their messages come through, and all their email syncs to the same client, and it works so much better than Outlook. Outlook is trash.
Oh, Outlook's trash. I hate Outlook.
Everything about them, to steal Todd Howard's best quote, it just works, and it does just work. Like the closed ecosystem. It works. As irritating as it is, it just works.
It's a very nice garden behind a very high wall.
It is. And honest to God, I'm so tired of the fiddling. I'm so tired of Windows irritating me so much. If I could play Steam games, if I could play my Steam library on a Mac, I'd switch.
I don't know.
But I can't. I'm stuck with Windows.
The wall offends me. I'm offended.
It offends me too.
I'm offended by the wall.
I'm more offended by Windows recently because Windows.
Mr.
The other
Apple,
thing with
tear down
Windows,
this wall.
the other thing with Windows is that it deteriorates over time.
Oh yeah, you can watch it.
It eats itself alive slowly to the point where like this. We
have nothing to fear from AI. Troubles. It will kill itself if it's from Microsoft.
Exactly. I've had so many issues with this machine recently, and it's nothing to do with the machine. It's everything to do with that this installation of Windows is now very nearly 5 years old. It might be 5 years old. I built this computer either in 2018 or 2019. If it's not 5 years old, it's very nearly 5 years old, and it's just like sometimes it just slips up and freezes and dies and reboots, or dies halfway through an update cycle, or like my top right now, my top two left and right monitors aren't working because the graphics drivers just decided that when those monitors are plugged in, the computer can't get past the login screen.
Cool.
How does that make
The
sense?
funny thing is, with all your Windows complaints, literally, like, as I was getting on here, I opened up I turned on my computer, gigantic full screen. Hey, we have the new Windows 11 for you. And I had to, like, literally, since I have the ultra wide, go like, oh, there's the button where I say no, I'd like to keep the operating system I currently have. Like, they had do it now, they had schedule it later, they had learn more. And the just keep things the way they are was a little tiny hyperlink down in the left corner.
Which I know they only have down there because some guy from their law office said, like, we have to put something there.
But it's just funny to see them come up with like 40 years of like universal design language, like in order to consistently have a good user experience. Here's like how you close out a window, here's how you open up, here's how you do this. Like, they've learned effective user practices. So when you hit something like that, and like the option to exit out isn't right where it should be, you know how intentional it is. Like, you know exactly how intentional it is because they have billions of dollars in research into how to make this as smooth and like user friendly as possible, and they're choosing not to do it.
And it's not even that I have a problem with Windows 11 because I'm still on 10 on this machine, but all of my like satellite computers, my laptop, the other desktop over here, the torrenting laptop, like all the other machines, the stupid SD card that I have in the deck, all of those are on Windows 11. It's fine. Like, it's great. The only reason I haven't upgraded this machine is because like the Windows 11, any Windows upgrade process, upgrading from one OS to the next, it just ruins everything. For whatever reason, I don't know why, they just can't do it. It performs worse, it breaks, it's just miserable. I've never had good luck with that. So I prefer to wipe it clean and start fresh, but I have so much, the tweaking, all of that stuff I'd have to redo on this machine, like especially my development environment. All the development environment stuff that I have set up on this machine, I'd have to redo, and it's going to be such a pain in the butt. So I've been trying to like coax this along to live a little bit more, but you can just see it. It's like it just deteriorates it's software.
Well, so
how does software deteriorate? But it does. I hate Windows, and this is just not it. These are just not issues that people with Macs have.
The only reason I'm switching to Windows 11 is because I'm replacing every single part.
You're starting fresh.
I'm
new machine.
my machine within a couple days. I'm bringing over literally 2 components from the old machine to the new one because they're the only things in there that are newer than 7 years old. Now that Zach's here, I'm gonna go make myself a drink.
Now that I'm here, you can make a drink.
Well, you arrived right as I finished my dinner and my water.
I'm just updating my Steven Seagal ranked list right now, of course. Ooh, Born to Raise Hell. Where's that going to go? That's definitely it's like a mid-tier 1-star.
What was
the
Born to Raise
movie
Hell?
that we watched last week? That's another matter. No, Born to Raise Hell was the one I was blindfolded for. There's the drug dealer, but then like he's cool with the one drug dealer, the drug producer or whatever. After that guy's family's killed.
Right.
So is that? But see, this is awful because I've watched all these movies, but now was that better or worse than Shadow Man or Black Dawn or I don't or Kill Switch? I don't know. Honestly, the one thing I will say is that the further and further we've gone on, I haven't rewatched Glimmerman. I can't truly say I've reassessed it, but like Glimmerman has gone up in my rankings as time has gone on. Like, I've grown to hate it less. If I go back and re-listen to the podcast episode, I know I'm roasting that movie. I know Glimmerman was like my least favorite for a while, but like retroactively, I'm like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but you look back at a lot of those like early 2000s movies, and you're like, oh, those. I wish we had those days back because these are just
I have to.
awful.
Black Dawn was probably technically worse than Born to Raise Hell. But I think I have to put this below Black Dawn because I remember Black Dawn because it turns into Batman the Dark Knight for the last 5 minutes.
Oh, that's the Black
Out for a Kill. Oh.
I was sitting here trying to remember.
No, right now I literally have Out for a Kill and Out of... Black Dawn was the Foreigner 2 Black Dawn. I have Out for a Kill and Out of Reach right next to each other. Oh my god. Why did they do this to us? What is Shadow Man? Shadow Man is when he watermelon punches the dude, right? No. No.
I don't
Because
think
he
so,
watermelon
'cause
punches
that-
the dude.
That's the one where his daughter, his father-in-law, was the bad guy. You find out at the end, and he watermelon punches him.
Was that Out of Reach?
Which one was that? No, Out of Reach was the pen pal one.
Oh wait, the
wasn't it?
watermelon punch one is when it was like the brand new special agency.
That was MK
Yeah,
Ultra V2,
MK
wasn't
Ultra, and then nothing that has to do with MK Ultra. Okay. This video, Shadow Man. Shadow Man is when he watermelon punches the dude.
Yes.
it? Okay.
You said that so confidently.
Yeah.
Aaron. We were not confident.
I don't remember any of these.
I'm trying to add our recent watches to my ranked list, but it's really hard. This ranked list is a lot harder than I thought it would be because I have to remember the other movies in order to know where this was Born to Raise Hell better than Out for a Kill, and was I Have Out for a Kill better than Out of Reach? Is Out for a Kill still oh, you say no. Is that what you said?
Out for a Kill was horrid. That's all I remember about Out for a Kill.
I have that as number 27 on my list right now.
It was bad.
Y'all, you should have been keeping rank list this whole time because this is
I gave up.
I don't think I could.
I gave up. So
I don't think I
honestly,
could.
where Born to Raise Hell is right now, I'm just keeping it there like gut instincts.
I don't think I have a letterbox review past number
and it
7.
deeply upsets me.
I gave up on those.
I don't
Next
think
season,
I could.
if next season's gonna be what I'm thinking it's gonna be, then I'll keep up with those. Honestly.
Neil Breen.
Well, no.
Well, Neil Breen, there's only 6. You can keep up with those.
I can, yeah. If it's a mini season, I can keep up with the mini.
Okay,
season,
but hear me out.
I think that'd be a good
Okay,
transitionary.
We literally plug our letterboxed profiles in the show notes of every single episode.
Yeah, but at this point,
Isn't
I'm
it
like,
funnier
I
that
think at the
28
very least, you
behind.
need to have your star ratings for all of them put in.
Okay.
So even if they're not a
You should
proper
have the
review,
star rating for all of
Just
them. And
have
that
the-
one, honestly, I hate to say it.
okay.
Just listen.
That's
to
what
the
you're
last
gonna
10
have to
minutes
do
of
is you're
every
gonna have to go
episode.
back and listen to the last
I was
10
gonna say,
episodes
I'm
of
gonna
every
have to
10 minutes of every
listen.
episode.
I can do that.
Oh, but could we do it? We don't put them in the. It's kind of sporadic where they are in the episode.
Yeah, it's usually in the last 10 to 15
where,
minutes. though.
Where are all of the fans? Don't the
Like a
fans usually make a
transcription.
wiki and
Yeah.
keep a wiki updated? Where
Yeah, where's
all
our
of our-
fandom.wiki dot Steven C et al.
Also, weirdly enough, Marked for Death has gone up in my rankings over time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Marked for Death.
I
That was
am
the
almost
Jamaican
nostalgic about
gangs
that
one.
one.
Yeah,
sadly.
weirdly enough, it was super racist, super bad, really
we
tacky.
didn't know what we had.
But I have a weird
I don't think we knew what
I
we had.
somewhat at this point nostalgically remember the texture of that film.
Yeah.
There are a couple things that stuck with me from that movie, but one of the only things was that he kicks Screwface in the chest and he falls down an elevator shaft
Yeah.
onto some rebar.
Well, that was
And
one
it
of
was
the Screwfaces.
brutal. One
He's
of
got
the Screwfaces,
4
right.
eyes and 2 heads and
Two heads and
mouths.
4 eyes.
What a crazy riddle. That was a tough one to crack.
Okay, so now I have maximum conviction on my rankings. Okay.
Where's it fall?
Right now it is number 14.
Oh.
I put
Right in the
I
middle.
put it just under Half Past Dead, so the two prison movies are.
Yeah, there have been in several.
But those are the
movies.
two
Yeah.
prison movies.
Yeah,
That's
those
Neo
are
Alcatraz
the prison
and
movies.
not
I
Guantanamo
guess.
Bay, but Guantanamo Bay.
Don't get me started.
With the execution chamber that's so advanced it lets you choose your method of
I
execution.
just switched from the list view to this poster view of my ranked list and seeing all these film
Oh
posters.
no!
This is wrong. But especially seeing the new age, seeing the maximum conviction poster right next to Out for Justice, old school Seagal, is wrong.
Yeah.
There definitely is there is a different style in posters. The poster art has evolved over time.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what would be a really great game is if we took all of the posters from every movie and just blacked out the name of the movie.
Oh.
And then you had to guess the name of the movie.
Oh, could we put that up on the website?
Good one.
Like it just pops up a poster and says, "Guess what this movie is." Just type a name.
You can click a button and see if you're
Yeah.
right.
That's a good. I like that.
Like it just picks a random movie poster.
Like I think we
and
should
pops it
both
up.
play that game with ourselves, and then also like make that a game like on the websites.
Yes.
Except that would.
Oh, we could do a live stream event.
I was gonna say that would have to
where
be like
we
one of the video
play this
podcasts
game.
like that they do on Spotify or whatever, so you can see it.
We can pop it up on YouTube.
Is there a Steven Seagal YouTube channel?
I don't know how there could not be. I think they just give you one when you log on to like Google Chrome for the first time.
Well, we do have the Gmail.
But then you have a YouTube account.
Excuse me.
Because Google is also a walled garden. They just built the wall around the entire planet.
On November 12th, I watched Killers of the Flower Moon and then The Secret Garden, which was a 5-star movie, and then a 4-star movie, and then on November 15th, I watched
Still
Maximum
need to see
Conviction,
Killers of the Flower Man.
which was, spoiler alert, not a 4-star or a 5-star movie.
I still need to see Killers of the Flower Man.
You, knowing you will think it's fantastic. You will love it.
Yeah, I will. I will love it. I just watching the trailers. I will love this.
So
movie.
yeah, we went and we saw Killers of the Flower Moon. Let me tell you, cinema is so back on the menu, my lads. Like, I cannot emphasize how sumptuous of a meal this experience was.
Because I've been worried. I've been very worried about cinema.
Oh yeah,
My friend's cinema.
no, but like, so cinema like maybe is like dying, like may not exist in the way that we would like it to, and you know, for all intents and purposes, may die within the next year or so. But like,
Yeah, it's just like university movie theaters.
yeah.
And IMAX showings.
And I don't want to be grim, but like Martin Scorsese's like in his 80s now. So much like later in his, I assume we're towards the end of his career in life, he puts out Killers of the Flower Moon, which may be a magnum opus. He may be putting out his best thing. Maybe cinema's dying in the next 10 years or so, but like 2023 has been good for movies. Like maybe we're getting some of our best stuff like a year or two before it goes out.
I'm sad that this might be like the death throes that just happen to be particularly majestic.
But these death throws are throwing out Oppenheimer
It's so
and
depressing
Barbie
what you're
and
talking
Mission
about right
Impossible
now.
and Haunted Mansion. Not you,
Oh,
get
we've
the
gotten-
fuck out of here. And Killers of the Flower Moon and was supposed to be Dune like last weekend, but that was delayed. But we can still count that for 2023 if we want. And Napoleon
Sure.
and Bottoms. Sure, why not? You were a fun little comedy. It's a good
There's
year.
so many good.
I'm a
movies.
little more optimistic than you are about this. I think we're in a pretty strong upswing, and I don't see that
I
stopping.
don't know.
People are rebelling against streaming services. Piracy's
I hope
on the
you're right.
rise, which isn't necessarily great for movie theaters, I understand. But everybody hates Marvel because they've basically ruined the enterprise that they had by oversaturating it so
Which
much.
And also just not making very good
but I
movies.
have
the
a
last,
slightly different read on.
5 to 10.
No, well, when you're working on 5 movies and 3 TV shows a year instead of 1 movie every 2 years, it's pretty hard to make
But I have a slightly
quality
different read on
stuff.
that.
Okay, go for it. Oh, give me your read on.
Also,
cinema.
wait, did we just start the episode by the way?
No, good.
Well,
No,
just on
no.
Marvel specifically, like, yes, everything you said is true. It is oversaturated. Like, especially that it used to be, oh, you need to watch the Captain America movie and you need to watch the Iron Man movie so then you understand when Captain America and Iron Man like team up. And like, that's okay. That's fine. Because you're watching, like you said, like one movie every like year or two. And then there's like the big team up movie of all of them. But I'm just thinking about like, even the Marvels, which like, realistically it's going to be like, it's a mass audience movie. You don't really need to watch any movies going in, but they're expecting you to be bringing in like at least like a Disney Plus show, like, and a different movie. Actually 2 Disney Plus shows because you have WandaVision and Miss Marvel and like, the last Captain Marvel movie and probably, the 2 Avengers movies. Like once the like TV shows became homework for the movies, that's when I think it was all done. But on the other end, like yes, that's true, but also like it is not normal for any trend in films to last like more than a decade. Like the movie musical, like the cowboy movie, like whatever the current like big blockbuster trend is.
The cowboy movie musical.
That's the next one. But like it's actually
what I
weirdly
want.
it's an anomaly how long Marvel's lasted. Like even if it like completely just falls off this
Yeah.
year, it's lasted like the bubble burst later than it should have. This lasted longer than it should have.
They didn't have their Hello Dolly.
No. Well, I mean maybe we're having just like 3 or 4 Hello Dollies like in a row here with like Ant-Man and the Marvels and whatever comes out next.
Just none of them have killed Marvel movies successfully enough. Like
You're
Hello
not-
Dolly killed the gigantic movie musical pretty effectively, and the studios saw the writing on
I
the
think
wall
maybe
on
this
that one
one
and said,
maybe
"Actually,
this
we're
instead
done."
of a bubble bursting, it's kind of just slowly just trickling out.
Yeah,
you're not wrong, but I think it's because the way that we have consumed movies and TV shows has
even just saying
changed
the
so
word consumed.
drastically just over the past like 10 years that it has allowed that to happen. It's allowed it to go on for longer than it probably should have. But I don't see it lasting that much longer. At the very least, I don't see it lasting that much longer in the same way that it
That's the
exists
thing, like because it
today.
can't just be
because
it
people
can't just be
don't care.
superhero movies. You like have to give something else. Like the idea of just like the superhero movie is
Yeah.
a safe investment for Marvel. That's gone. I think like the last 2 or 3 movies
Yeah.
have shown that that's just completely gone. Now Marvel can still
Yeah.
they still have like they are just an IP house with thousands of characters, which is still valuable, but like can't just be every character gets a $200 million movie and it's going to make like 800 million plus.
no,
Yeah.
Especially
they definitely can't get a $200 million TV show
no.
that they throw up on Disney Plus and make
Oh my
$0.
gosh. See, yeah. Hey, by the way, Secret Invasion came out. I completely forget about that show like all the time, but
Loki season 2 is
I
out
hear
right
Loki
now.
season 2 is actually pretty good. I just bring up Secret Invasion.
I haven't heard anything about
I haven't heard
Loki
much about
season
it.
2.
Secret Invasion, I heard even less
I
about, but that one
continually
had like a
forget that it
$300 million
exists.
budget or something absurd.
The only thing I know about Secret Invasion is that the opening sequence
Done with
was
AI.
assisted by AI image generators.
I think the thing is though, maybe I'm an outlier. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it seems to me
hope
like
you're not.
there are an increasing number of people sort of like me where that's all I hear about. I hear Loki season 2 came out. It was really good. That's great to hear.
Right.
I'm not going to watch it.
I liked season 1.
Like, you know,
Good.
I didn't even watch season 1. That's not true. I watched the first episode because my cousins were really into it and they told me that it was like a buddy cop show with Loki and Owen Wilson.
I don't
and
know if
then
your cousins know
after
what a
the
buddy cop show is.
after the first episode it wasn't
Yeah.
anymore. And that was I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. The first episode was really funny and then they told me, it's not like that the rest of the show. And I was like, well then
You know
I
what it
don't care.
becomes? Spoiler alert for Loki season 1. It becomes Loki trying to bang female Loki.
That's not interesting.
But that's what it is. But that's the show.
I don't like
That's the show.
I wanted a buddy cop I wanted a buddy cop show between Owen
And
Wilson
female
and
Loki
the
is
guy who
pretty
plays
cool.
Loki. What is that? It's
Hiddleston.
Tom. What's his name?
Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston. Yes, I wanted a buddy cop TV show between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, but they ripped that out of my hands, and then I didn't care anymore. So now people might tell me Loki season 2 is really good. They spent $300 million on it. I'm not going to watch it, and I think there are an increasing number of people in that camp that people just don't care.
Well, and like even like streaming TV shows, a lot of streaming TV shows are just either can't get it together at all or are really struggling to get off the ground. Like Amazon has just been swings and misses left and right every time they've tried to make a show.
Well, that's because they don't. Anytime they've tried to make a show that is based off of some kind of source material, it's a swing and a miss because they didn't follow the source material.
Like not at all.
Okay, wait, I will say-
or they spent
do-
like way too much money.
I did like
yeah.
Invincible.
Yes, Invincible was
I
well
didn't see that
made.
one.
It was a little.
Oh,
gross
well, but
for
that-
me,
but
I think
that's-
that
that
is
is
the
the
source
yeah.
material. That is the source.
And
material.
I haven't really watched it. I hear people like The Boys. So again, also if it's just like gross,
That's,
like
again,
inversion of,
too
then
gross
they
for
can.
me. Yeah,
We've been enjoying.
they can make gross
Yeah,
stuff.
well, we've been
I
enjoying
guess,
Daisy Jones enough. Like that's been pretty fine. Like if we like
but
the
I
book,
don't. I don't know if I've even
pretty
heard
fun.
of that.
I haven't heard of that.
I
either.
really wanted to like Wheel of Time, and I don't.
we just I can't remember. Did I tell you that we finished season 2?
Yes. Oh no. You told me that you were one
okay.
episode
We
away from the
finished
end.
I watched all of season 1 and I was actually really into it. I thought it was pretty great. But then Isabel and you and everybody else in the entire world who has read the books previously said no, that was the awful. It was incredibly
Horrible.
stupid, and they lost their whole. Like, they lost their core audience of the people that knew what it was,
Yeah.
because I don't know this, but apparently it did not follow the source material at all.
Like, they skipped an entire city, like, just pretended it didn't exist, except it's, like, essential to everything past the first book. And it comes up in the first book in a big way. And, like... I don't know. And that's not even really what bothered me about it. Like, season 2 didn't follow the books super closely, but it was better made in a lot of ways than season 1. And then the final episode of season 2, they just decided, what's like a dumb way to finish this? What's like, can we Game of Thrones this in 2 seasons instead of 8?
Oh, that was... looking for a classic example of that happening. Although I think
those were completely different. That was a completely different situation. Game of Thrones
completely different situation
was in like the golden age of prestige television, and that was just because like the creators of the show,
2 directors that got greedy.
Yeah, they decided
and wanted to swap to Star Wars.
Yeah, Disney wants to give us like gigantic buckets of money. Like, we got to wrap this up as quick as we can, and everyone's like, please don't do that. Please don't.
Isn't it crazy how you have the rewatch? What would you call it? The rewatch. I can't think of the word. It's not market.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of people that rewatch their favorite TV shows over and over and over again and continue to talk about them is massive. The people that still just watch The Office as like a comfort show,
literally
just
whatever you want,
repeat. Exactly. Exactly.
I've seen Star Trek: The Next Generation at least 3 or 4 times through. The entire thing.
Exactly. And that like Game of Thrones should have had that treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Like it absolutely should have people going back and rewatching it and still talking about it, but because they screwed up that ending so spectacularly, no one does. No one rewatches it. No one talks about it. The only thing people talk about it is how bad they screwed up the ending. It's crazy.
You know, it's not often that you see something like collapse that magnificently right before your eyes, like built up so strongly, just to immediately fall
like they'll
over.
talk about it in film schools. I know they will. Like when you talk about,
if you're gonna sell out for millions of dollars, you better be prepared for the fan backlash.
Yeah, like when they talk about story structure. Like, I hope they're talking about Game of Thrones, the TV show, in film schools and stuff about how not to structure a story.
You know, it would be very funny. I'm just picturing like the professor, like, because you always see like news stories about this, like, oh, this college has a class on like South Park or whatever. Like, every college like ends up just making like 1 or 2 like just kind of purely fun classes, so then like maybe they can get like news coverage, like free publicity, and then give the students like a nice easy elective like every now and again just as a solid. I guarantee there had to, like, I'm just picturing the poor professor that was teaching like just like the fun Game of Thrones class, like, oh, go to Wesleyan, and then they take the class on like Game of Thrones, whatever, and like having to retool like film 201 it won't be 201 film, like 213, like how Game of Thrones is perfectly structured to tell an amazing story, and just having to scribble out half the syllabus and having to be like how Game of Thrones ruined a perfectly good story at the end, like how to not do story structure Game of Thrones, like that to completely pivot the like intention of that class.
But I think Game of Thrones can be useful as like a contrast to like why that failed and why Marvel movies are failing. It's completely different. I think it's a completely different problem.
And that Game of Thrones could have run for like 5 more years, and people would have been totally happy with it. And Marvel were like, okay, we're kind of we're kind of reaching our limit. We're kind of good on this.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is the show that got impatient with itself and just kind of tried to get to the end as quickly as it could, but it didn't have enough setup to give you any sort, like, there was no satisfying ending to the story at that point. You couldn't end the story that quickly and it make any sense, no matter what you chose. Like, people make their fan edits and stuff, and they're all unsatisfying because there just wasn't enough material there for the kind of story that it was telling. Marvel has the opposite problem. You told a satisfying story like 8 movies ago.
And they said, hey, you know how this was like the big conclusion we were building up to ever since like you were literally in middle school and like this whole epic saga is concluded? Actually, this Spider-Man movie is also still part of that saga. And then You want
The
another...
saga continues with a new bad guy out of nowhere for no reason.
And also the main bad guy for the next saga was introduced at the end of Loki season 1. So if you don't watch this Disney Plus show, you don't know the main villain, like the Thanos of this arc. And then
he was like elaborated on in Ant-Man 3.
You want Ant-Man? Is Ant-Man going to bring you back to theaters?
No. Ant-Man was like the comfort movie between arcs.
Ant-Man 1 was like, oh, this was like pretty fun. It was kind of like a little bit different, and like, you know, I really would have liked to see like the Edgar Wright version, but like this is okay. Ant-Man 2 was, oh, that happened, I guess. Okay. And then Ant-Man 3 was like, let's introduce to movie audiences our main villain for the... No. Don't do that in Ant-Man 3.
No. I don't care.
Don't do that in the Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly movie. That's not the place.
I don't care. And definitely don't do it in a TV show. Oh my gosh.
I will be honest. Probably out of all of the TV shows I've seen so far, Loki season 1 was probably my favorite, but... There's a curse of Marvel TV shows where they have, even if like the show itself is pretty good, they have absolutely like tier endings. Like out of like the 4 or 5 I've watched.
Yeah, WandaVision is the perfect example of that.
I'm like, hey, I'm interested
I think
in this. This is pretty
WandaVision-
solid.
Yeah, WandaVision had the highest highs and then just ended on like in the dumbest way they could.
It's the same with Loki.
Let's just
I'm
have,
like,
like,
oh, they're
never-
building to this whole
never
ending. They're going to
watched
get here.
any
And
of
then
them.
they get there and I'm like, oh, that's it. If the big reveal of like, if you're teasing a guy and at the big reveal, the end of reveal is, wait, who is this guy? Then that's not a very good reveal. Like, oh, it's a new guy? We never... Huh?
Huh?
Eh?
Eh?
What all have I watched? We watched Miss Marvel. That was fine.
I watched Ahsoka.
Oh, how is Ahsoka? Oh.
Like... they did that dumb new Star Wars thing.
The epitome of what we're talking about. Like, oh, I watched this new show. How was it? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna watch it then.
Like, they did this dumb thing, which I say it's a new Star Wars thing. It's actually just a very Star Wars thing, except that you had to have read a book to know that it's actually old Star Wars as well, where they just, like, introduce a new concept in the third act.
Okay.
Which, if you want to talk about, like, how to write a story 101, don't introduce new concepts in the third act. Third act is for resolution. If you're introducing...
Set up and pay.
Yeah, if you're introducing new ideas in the third act, that's not the third act. It feels like it's out of the blue. So, like, when the main antagonist of your TV show gets a flaming sword from the space witches, and she says the name of the sword as if I'm supposed to know what that is, and suddenly she can do kung fu, even though you've never seen her in a fight scene the entire show. It feels out of place, and like you don't actually care about what's going on. You're just making it up as you go. Even if that was the plan from the beginning, at no point did you tell the audience that. And so it felt completely out of the blue, and it just kind of ruined
It's
the
just starting
whole
to sound
like momentum. Didn't make any sense.
starting to sound a lot like a Steven Seagal movie. Aaron.
No.
And so for, like, I know we've talked about this before, how, like, Mandalorian Season 1 is really fun, because if you've, like, never seen any Star Wars, you can still enjoy Mandalorian Season 1, and there's some fun Easter eggs for the fans there,
Yeah.
but you don't have to have seen anything. What, I get the feeling that for Ahsoka, you have to, well, first of all, you had to have seen all of Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, because,
Yeah.
but should I assume there's also, like, some kind of, like, Star Wars Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels stuff you had to watch there?
They make absolutely no effort to explain to you who any of these people are.
So you have to be intimately familiar with Glup Shadow in order to understand, like,
Yes.
what's going on.
You had to have read like the fanfic. Like, it's ridiculous how much they expect you to know for this show to make any sense. Like I'm going to spoil the main premise of the Ahsoka show is that
Do it.
everyone is on this mission to rescue. So there are two people who are in a distant galaxy. It's Thrawn
Okay,
far
I know
away.
Thrawn.
and Ezra Bridger.
Okay. That's some Star Wars Rebel stuff that I'm not familiar with.
Yes, so unless you've watched Star Wars Rebels and read Heir to the Empire, a 3-part novel series, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you. You will at least know who the characters are if you watched like the Rebels cartoon, which was, I know, Some people really love that show. Good for you. It's just okay. Like, it's pretty good. It's not very good. They took the Clone Wars and made it more kiddish, and it didn't really work for me. But they just like assume that you know and care about Ezra.
See, because that was what happened at, I want to say it was at a Mandalorian season 2. I know, like, it was in one. We haven't watched Mandalorian season 3 yet, so it had to have been in like season 2 of Book of Boba Fett. But I remember that being like, you have the scene with Ahsoka where like she teams up with Mandalorian for a bit, you know, like, well, you help me, I help you, and she gets to this, you know, the bad person at the end that she's been trying to get to all episode, and she goes, "Where's Thrawn?" Like, that's the big reveal, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then, but like the thing is, I'm watching it with my wife Sarah, who like she's seen the Star Wars movies, but like if you're talking animated series or books or whatever, no. So it's like, where's Thrawn? And I'm like trying to explain like
there's this
why
blue
this
guy.
is a reveal. I'm like, no, but he's like the smartest, most evilest guy ever. And she's like, and he's not in any of the movies. I'm like, no, he's not in any of the movies. He's like really smart and really evil. You gotta trust me. And Ahsoka really doesn't like him. Like, this is a reveal.
Yeah.
She said the word Thrawn, which is, if you don't know the character exists, you don't even know his name. Like, and I'm like, no, trust me, this is a big deal.
It could be a space. It could be another Death Star for all you know. Like, it doesn't.
Thrawn, sure.
It's meaningless. And that, I think that is the problem with both Star Wars and Marvel, is just like, and this is not a new observation at all, but everything that you need to understand what's going on and pick a piece of media, pick a random, piece of Star Wars or Marvel media, and everything that you need to understand it feels like homework. Yeah. And the payoff for doing that homework is not very high.
Entertainment should not be homework.
Like when they have a nice reference in there that if you're a fan and you get it and you get extra satisfaction from that, cool. But if it's like literally what like the entire like narrative arc hinges on, like,
yeah, if they were like a background character who mentioned how they were affected by something that Ezra did, I'd be like, okay, cool.
Nice little reference in there, yeah.
Or like, Thrawn did terrible things to, destroy my village. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, he's a bad guy.
I get it.
If I've never read anything else, I understand he's a bad guy.
But if I have read stuff, I'm like, oh, I know who Thrawn is. I know what that is. And I know how he fits into the story and how this could happen. But if I don't know who it is, like, I still get the gist of what's going on. It's like, this is also not a new observation, but it's in like the remake of Star Trek II with Benedict Cumberbatch, that the creators of the movie promised it wasn't going to be Wrath of Khan. It's not Wrath of Khan. And then Benedict Cumberbatch looks into the camera and says, I am Khan. And it's like this big dramatic reveal, except that literally no one in the room knows what that word means. There's no reason for anyone to care what that means. It only matters if you watch this ancient Star Trek movie. Like that, it doesn't work within the piece of media. It only works as a metatextual comment. Metatext works best when it actually belongs in the text.
And let me tell you, having the homework's bad enough, but whenever the homework is literally like different medium, when you have like, in order to understand this movie, you have to watch this live action show. In order to watch this live action show, you have to watch this animated show. Like, the one thing I will say, we can have critiques of Disney, Star Wars live action films, like theatrical films, but they don't do that, which is actually very nice.
They don't do that. That's true. The movies don't do that. They require very little of you to actually get. Like, they don't do the same thing Marvel does. They don't do the same thing that even Star Wars TV shows do. You can just go to a Star Wars movie and and here's the best part, you don't even have to watch Star Wars Episode 7 to get Star Wars Episode 9, because they give you a little what's it called? A little cliff notes at the beginning. There's a little scroll in text, here's what you need to know, and then you watch it. And you're like, oh. You get a paragraph or two about what Star Wars is, and then
that was everything I needed to know. I could jump from having watched no Star Wars to watching Episode 9 and be like, oh, okay. They told me in the little text thing. I know how to read. I'm good.
Just pick a random one and watch it.
Truly. Should we actually talk about the movie that we came here to talk about? Whose episode is this?
Yours,
actually, I think.
Is it mine?
Is it?
Okay, let's clap. Let's
Actually,
clap
wait,
ourselves.
speaking of, how's the episode edit for this week, Aaron?
It's coming along. I do have to edit out your heavy breathing throughout the entire episode.
Why am I heavy breathing throughout the whole episode?
I don't know.
Well, now I'm self-conscious.
I don't know if you were just like standing closer to the mic than usual or something, but there's just like this heavy Zach breathing throughout the whole episode that I'm really hoping the noise reduction will help out on.
I mean, if you need to, you can you can do like just the general noise reduction for silence, and then you could also just like go back, take a snippet of like if you hear a breath, try it again, like just for that specific noise. But yeah, no, we can clap in, and I will try to breathe less this episode.
Are we ready? Yeah, breathe less.
But you can't check your six. It's kind of like, taking a screwdriver to a gunfight. What's happening? Just like old top.
Hello and welcome to Steven See It All episode. I think this is 35. Yeah, 35. I'm Aaron.
I'm Zach. Did we lose Hans?
We lost
I can't
Hans.
hear Hans anymore.
Oh my god.
Oh, I was muted because I'm an idiot.
So who are you?
Who are you?
Cut that right there.
Keep it in.
I am Hans.
Okay, great. And today we are talking about the Steven See It All led film Maximum Conviction starring Steven Seagal, not Steven See It All. Steven Seagal and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Steve.
And the first thing that I want to say about this movie is that this movie thinks that you, listener, are an idiot.
I mean, to be fair, if you're watching it, you probably are. So, is that a fair assumption?
It thinks you are the biggest dumb.
They're probably onto something, given who would be watching this movie.
At every moment, every character
Us?
is explaining what they are doing and explaining what they are about to do. That is pretty much the only dialogue throughout the entire movie is just people saying, I'm going to go do this now for this reason. And then they go off and do that thing. And that's the whole movie.
Yeah, pretty
Maybe
much.
maybe they don't assume that you're dumb. Maybe the problem is that they're like responding to our criticism. Maybe they heard what we said about the past movies and we're like, this character just does this for no reason. Like, why is he and then he just walks around and does this and it doesn't matter. And they said, well, okay, we're going to have them tell you why they're doing the thing and then do the thing. Maybe they're making a point.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Maybe
Still
it's a direct
didn't
response
matter.
to us.
Hey, you know what's worse? You know what's worse than tell, don't show? Tell and show.
Just tell and maybe show.
It's worse. I didn't think it would be, but it is. So the actual plot of this movie is that there's a maximum security black site prison in the middle of like a town. Like, it's across the street from like some houses.
Just like an Arby's next door.
Yeah, like it can't be a black site because it's in the middle of a town. Like there's
They
a
show
line-
aerial views of it.
Yeah, they show aerial views of it. It's just like a
like
prison
right there.
in a city. Like in a city. And there's like a line where somebody asks Seagal, are the cops going to come and help us? And Seagal's like, the cops don't know this place exists. How?
I was thinking about that the
How?
entire time. Like they're so close, you're gonna be able to hear the gunfire,
Yes.
and it's just like the rookie goes up to the sergeant or whoever and says, like, should we go investigate that? And they say no, that place
exist.
doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
We don't worry about that place.
No. See those giant guard towers?
And all the helicopters flying around and the giant transport trucks and
Doesn't exist.
Right off the bat,
It's a figment of your imagination.
It's so stupid.
So Seagal plays a private contractor mercenary guy who has a team that includes Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm going to say it that way every single time. And so they are part of a squad of mercenaries who are brought in to decommission this black site prison. I don't know why you would hire mercenaries to do that, but okay, fine, whatever.
2 guys
Except
decommission an entire site.
The night
how it
before
goes.
it is supposed to be decommissioned, Seagal inexplicably admits 2 more prisoners. 2 women. And the next morning, as they're like trying to pack everything up to decommission the black site, the pencil pusher, like, think of like EPA agent from Ghostbusters. Like, he's supposed to be like this bureaucrat who gets in the way of everything, comes up and makes the very valid point. Seagal, we're trying to decommission this place. Why did you admit 2 new prisoners yesterday? And you just put them in a cell block that doesn't have anybody else in it. We had to reopen an entire cell block for these 2 people. What are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. To which he responds, "Oh, you pencil pushers, you don't understand what's going on. Like, we had to do it this way." To which I thought, no, the only reason that this happened was so that the movie could happen. So that, like, they wouldn't be in the general cell block with everybody else. That is the only reason for this to have happened. And the pencil pusher made a very valid point. That he looked at the camera and said, "This doesn't make any sense." And Seagal said, "Shut up."
And the pencil,
and that was
the pencil pusher is surprisingly nice. The only like punishment is that he says you 2 are in charge of these 2 prisoners. Like, you can't leave as long as they're here. You're in charge of overseeing them, which is like, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. That's really nice of him to do. He could have actually had them like court-martialed or something. I'm sure, like, or fired. Like, they're contractors. It's whatever. But he's just like, oh,
they're contractors working on a black site, like CIA.
We're explicitly
prison,
moving prisoners from here to another prison, and you put these 2 prisoners in the prison we're moving out of. So just, you can't leave until they're gone. Like, you have to watch over them. They're your responsibility. And they just make such a grumble about this. They're like, oh, we just want to go home, and why we got to work this night shift? This is bull crap.
Yeah. So then apparently they have to move all the garbage out.
Yeah, it's also garbage
day. It's also garbage day, apparently.
Garbage day?
It's a Friday, and it's garbage day. Apparently Friday is garbage day here.
Zach didn't even react to that.
And so the one clever thing, and it's not even that clever that this movie does, the garbage disposal company that comes in to remove the garbage from this black site prison, because apparently you can just hire like the local municipal garbage company to do that. It's called Troy Disposal. And the garbage truck is, get this, it's a Trojan horse. There's like a SWAT team in the back of the garbage truck coming onto this prison site. And so they hang out there for a while until they're like these bad guys. And I don't know if it's ever super clear who the bad guys are. Sometimes they say they're working with, they are the CIA. And sometimes they're like independent and they're like selling information to somebody else and making money off of it. If they are the CIA, because some of them are CIA operatives. If they are the CIA, they don't have to fake all this stuff. They don't have to send a Trojan horse and like fake U.S. Marshals. They can just say, "Hi, I'm Agent Who Cares from the CIA. Give me these 2 people from this black site prison owned and operated by the CIA. We already own this. There is no reason for this movie to happen." So they send in some fake U.S. Marshals as well to request these 2 prisoners, and they have the SWAT team in the garbage truck as backup. And then,
real quick, can I? I'm sorry, I just have to.
In.
I have to. I'm really sorry, but they have that paperwork. Mm-hmm. I guess they aren't from the CIA. Those ones don't say they're from the CIA. They're
U.S. Marshals.
They say they're U.S. Marshals, and they're coming there for the prisoner transport, which all of the people on guard at this black site are waiting on.
Yeah.
Because once the prisoner transport arrives, they transport the remaining six people, including the 2 new prisoners.
Yeah.
Transport them away, and then they can all go home because the site will have been shut down. So they're waiting on this. The guys come, they present valid paperwork for
not
just
forgeries,
the 2 prisoners.
Real paperwork.
Right. Real paperwork for just the 2 prisoners, and every single person on the site proceeds to tell them, no.
What are you trying to pull?
You're not allowed to actually
to
transport these people
talk to the guy who
away.
can authorize that.
Yeah, and in the end, the only person who can sign for it is Seagal, who has mysteriously left to go to a bar?
Not the warden of the prison. They go to the warden of the prison. The warden says, actually, no, I can't sign this. Instead, this subcontractor, only he can sign this out.
Right.
For no reason.
And then it is revealed that they are not marshals. They're here to overthrow the place.
Seagal decided to go to a cigar bar with his mercenary buddies.
During
Like,
this
and for
super
no other
important
reason than
work
to
of decommissioning a prison with the 2 prisoners he needs to watch over, he just bounces.
And he was
Right.
specifically told he's not allowed to leave until they're out.
Right.
But whatever.
It is the most. I'm so mad.
But anyways, just some of the most boring gunplay you can think of takes place over the next hour and 20 minutes.
And that's true.
Like it's like Call of Duty level, like map design here for these shootouts. It's just like chest high crates and tall barrels for you to like hide behind, and then you pop out and fire a few shots, and then get back behind your crate or barrel, and then you pop out and you fire a few shots, and you get back behind, and it's very, very, very boring. It is the jangling keys of action movies.
But Aaron, can you tell us what is the big deal with these 2 prisoners that Seagal has just brought in?
Yes, so one of them is like an info mule. So she has an implant in her body, which is, of course, directly under her breast.
Of course.
Which
Where
is
else would it be?
a small data storage device, which is powered by the electrical current of her nervous system, so that if she dies, it turns off and wipes all the data on there. And so these CIA ? People need to recover that, but they have to do it without killing her, because if she dies, all the data is lost. And they're trying to sell that data for a bunch of money, even though at the end of the movie they already have the money, even though they haven't recovered the data, but whatever.
That's the data is the bank codes.
Okay, the data is the bank codes.
To
Okay.
access the money.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
$200 million.
The other prisoner is a CIA operative who's on the team of the people who are like trying to get her out of the prison. And so they're trying to get lady number 1 with the implant out alive so they can download the codes and get all the money, which the main bad guy refers to as pre-washed money, which is not how money laundering works. There's no such thing as pre-laundered money.
But it's super secret CIA, boob intel, so, pre-washed.
You can't just spend millions of dollars and not have the IRS, the most reliable government organization, not look into that.
Or not have the CIA, who is in charge of this money.
Yes.
Wondering where that
the
money's
CIA
spent.
will wonder, where did our millions of dollars go? Because there are only 2 reliable government organizations, the IRS and the U.S. Postal Service. And then it just continues and continues and continues and drags on. And it's just like staging really boring gunfights until the very end, where, of course, Seagal has a fist fight with the last bad guy, who's one of the fake U.S. Marshals, in which he beats him up with his bare hands after they both agreed to take off their bulletproof vests for no reason. And then he throws them through a doorway
Show of good faith.
filled with trip mines, which you can obviously see the lasers on these trip mines, like they're visible lasers, very easily avoidable. Like sometimes they'll put down a trip mine and the laser will be like pointing directly into the door jamb, and like the trippable part of the laser is like a few inches long. You would have to intend to break the laser to set off the mine.
Okay, but
anyway,
the very
through a
visible
door
red
full
trip
of
mines
mines.
do basically make this movie a Metroidvania, which is pretty fun. Like, I need the suit upgrade before I can walk through this.
Yeah, so he throws the guy through the doorway, he explodes, and then secret underboob data lady inexplicably decides to just join up with Seagal, and they ride off into the sunset, apparently in love. And then Seagal tells Stone Cold Steve Austin to meet him in some place because they're going to get together for another mission.
They're splitting the money, just the 2 of them.
Oh yeah,
Well,
and Seagal takes the money at the end.
He takes the codes for the $200 million and goes up to Stone Cold Steve Austin and says, "So listen, I got this money, $200 million, and I'm going to give you half of it. What are you going to do with it?" It's so stupid. Meanwhile, his mercenary buddies, the people that he brought there to help get the prison back under control, They don't get anything.
Nothing.
They're just loading up the car in
No,
the back.
nothing.
They're literally loading up the car in the background. They don't even hear this conversation. Seagal says, I'm going to take $100 million. I'm going to give half of it to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And then I think the other half, I don't remember what he
I'll
said.
have
It was
fun
something
with it.
stupid. I'll have fun with it. That's what it was.
you know he's a
It
good
was
guy.
like, just so you know his character's a good guy. Now, that's not what Steven Seagal, the human being, would do with that much money.
But like,
But that's what he wants you
No,
to
he would
believe
make,
he
like,
would
at
do.
the end of the movie,
with
the
that
bad
much
guy,
money.
to
the bad
DVD
guy,
movies.
the bad guy literally says, "We're not so different, you and
Oh my
I."
God, he does do that. We're not so different thing. Oh my God, I about lost my
And
mind
then
when that
shows, I lost it. And he shows him the
Proceeds
money.
to tell him exactly all how they're different.
Yes. And then he says, like, this is the device that will give you free money. It's pre-washed, untraceable. Except that's not how money works at all. Whatever. And he says, I will split it with you if you just let me walk out of here. And Seagal says no and blows him up and just takes all the money instead. Because apparently that's what
They're
good
not
guys
so
do.
different.
Not so different.
I cannot tell you honestly how like the emotions I felt when nearly verbatim, the bad guy says, "We're not so different, you and I."
I reiterate, this movie thinks you are a big dumb idiot.
It's true. It's very true. Very accurate. He does say, though, I am the bad... Like, it's the same thing as what you said. They talk. They say exactly what they're doing. He says out loud, I am the bad guy. Seagal says out loud, and I am the good guy. And then they
Yes.
proceed to talk about how they're different from one another after he says, we're not so different, you and I. And then Seagal just takes all the money after killing the bad guy.
Yes.
So they really aren't that different after all. And you're supposed to come away from this thinking that Seagal is redeemed.
No, you're not supposed
in
to come
some
away
way.
from this thinking at all. Any thought immediately renders it completely invalid.
No, the movie
Dude,
tells you at every beat what to think and what is going on and what will happen. Like, the most egregious example of it is there's one of the prison guards. She's holding a rifle and she says, I will come with you, and if we hit trouble, I will lay down covering fire.
And buy you a little time.
And buy you a little time. And then she proceeds to lay down covering fire and buy Seagal time and then die. Because this movie thinks you are a big dumb idiot.
And again, it's completely unprompted. They're just like standing in a hallway, and she says, "If they come after you, I'll provide cover." Like, she just rambles that off. They're not forming
Well,
tactics. She just says that.
No.
She wasn't part of his team either.
No.
She was one of the black site prison guards. She has no connection to Seagal, but of course he automatically assumes the role of leader in all of their minds.
Yes. Even though he is a military contractor and she is an actual military personnel, actually works here, but because Seagal is in the room, he's in charge.
Which, speaking of Seagal, the military contractor, this is, I think, the first time he's like talked down his past accomplishments. It's still in a very Steven Seagal way. Okay, it's still in a very Steven Seagal way. But the bad guy says like, so you're like, some kind of high ops, like, CIA, like, crazy, amazing guy. And he's like, oh, I was like just Marines.
I was just Marine Special Forces.
Yes. It's still in a Seagal way. He is still like I'm sure he has trophies for being the greatest Marine that ever lived.
Literally the inspiration for every man who joins the SWAT
Yes,
team.
but like this is, I think, the first time someone said like, "You're like some crazy special operative, aren't you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just a Marine Special Forces."
No.
Like, oh, a humble
Marine
king.
Special
Yes,
Forces.
yes, we stand.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
So let's just real quick.
Yeah.
You kind of covered it, but I feel like we need to set the scene here because
Paint the word.
you open up on this movie.
Let us into.
Yeah, you open up with the movie, and the bad, like the good guys, all of the prison guards are just derping around the prison doing whatever, just waiting for their shift to be over so they can get the heck out of there. You have the Trojan horse, the dump truck that's trying to offload trash. Stone Cold Steve Austin's trying to
didn't
fix
say
it
it right.
because it
Stone
was
Cold
broken.
Steve Austin.
I'm sorry. He's trying to fix it because the driver who's in on the heist is like, he can't leave because it's broken, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So you have the guys inside the dump truck. They're the Trojan horse. You have the marshals who have a legitimate request to transport 2 prisoners and are turned down. And then they turn on the warden and chop off his finger for no reason. Then you have the other prisoner, the second female prisoner who Seagal inexplicably captured at the same time as the female prisoner who has like the data. Then they're like stored together. She is also on their side. So you have 3 angles and a multitude of people, just tons and tons of people. And they start out by completely taking over the prison.
Yes.
Like they have every angle covered. They have the guard shack under control. They take the warden there, get his password, so they have access to the entire prison.
Every door, every light.
Exactly. They have complete control of a government black site facility from 3 different angles. And then they proceed to just not do anything with that at all.
No,
they just
at one point
let
in the movie,
Seagal...
Yeah, Seagal just walks into the control room. The door's not even locked.
No, they left. They just left.
They go into the control room. They use the warden's fingerprint to unlock all the controls so that they can control every door. Do nothing with it. Leave the door unlocked. Seagal walks in and then proceeds to lock all the doors, including his own men, by the way. But like he traps his own men in a certain part of the prison.
And they have to find a new way out. Yeah.
To be fair, the only way to counteract a bad guy idiot is with a good guy idiots.
I guess so. But that's the whole thing. Like they're supposed to be these. You are set up to believe that, I don't know, we're in a Seagal movie. I'm thinking way too deep into this. I understand that, but you're set up to see that this is an incredibly like well-run takeover attempt of a black site prison where you have the same gang coming in from 3 different angles just to get this one person out of the prison, and they have complete control of the prison after like 20 minutes into the movie. And then for the next about 50 minutes, they don't do anything with that.
None.
They just completely allow Seagal to walk in the front door. They allow Seagal's buddies, his team that came back from the Scar Lounge, they allow them to walk in the back door. They allow Stone Cold Steve Austin to just run rampant behind the scenes. Who is the star of this movie?
Yes. Seagal gets to kill the final bad guy, but Stone Cold is like the actual star of the movie.
You see more of him. He has more screen time than Seagal.
Well, and if you look through his filmography, this kicks off like a huge line of Seagal-like action movies.
Yeah.
For him.
It's so absurd, and it's the same thing with all of these movies. It just made me so angry because I know that it's a Seagal movie. I know that it's complete I know that, but in the back of my head, I'm thinking like you actually had something here. You had a story, you had a setup, an actual successful setup where it's a genuine threat of some kind. Like that, we don't get that often. There was a real threat here. It was under siege in a prison, but there was like a real threat here, and then they just threw it away. They just threw it away like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And they let Seagal and his team and Stone Cold Steve Austin just run around behind the scenes and take out all of their men one by one instead of locking doors or checking cameras or doing anything with any of the information that they had. They just let them kill them and then let him take back the prisoner that they were trying to steal. Like it's
like they were apologizing. I'm sorry, Mr. Seagal.
That was really
we made
mean
this
of
too
us to
difficult.
inconvenience you. All right, let me do a quick
Right?
monologue and then let you have like a cool. Let me kill you in like a gory way.
Yeah.
It was just so, because in the first, the setup was actually decent. Like I was sitting here thinking like this is weirdly high quality. We haven't seen this in a while.
And
it was okay. Like it was okay, and then they just threw it in the trash.
I think we need to talk about where this sits in Seagal's career. So this is his first movie after Machete, correct?
Yes.
It's a little fuzzy because the last one was the first one to release after Machete, but we don't know when they were like made.
Yeah, so this
is the first one that's definitely been made after Machete.
Yeah, so he made Machete and Born to Raise Hell the same year. Then he took a 2-year hiatus from movies and made a TV show.
Steven Seagal, Lawman.
Lawman.
And so he comes back from that, and I was thinking maybe he learned something from Machete, like the first decent film we've seen this entire time. And the answer to that question was a very powerful absolutely not.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
No, learned nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, I think he did learn something and then actively chose to reject those things. It's amazing how strong, it's such a strong return to form for Seagal that it's a new form. Like it feels different.
It really is.
It's the Seagal formula distilled in the worst way. I hate this movie. Half a star.
Oh,
it's so bad. I don't think this is as bad as what was number 3 for me? It was recent.
For like your bottom.
It didn't
3?
take the cake from Submerged. Yeah, it sat solidly in third place. I can't remember what it was.
Against the Dark.
Was it? I don't think it was Against the Dark.
Was it A Dangerous Man?
I can't
Was
remember.
it The Keeper?
I think it was The Keeper. It was The Keeper because we had
The Bodyguard?
The Bodyguard, because there was
Mine?
the first 20 minutes of the movie was an entirely different movie that
Yes.
was on a huge scale of magnitude better than what we got, and they stole that from us.
Yeah.
So that ended up being number 3. I don't think this movie takes number 3, but I am almost positive that it sits very comfortably at number 4.
This is my most hated Seagal movie.
Really?
More than Ticker?
This is worse than Ticker for me.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow,
I've seen Ticker
that's-
twice. Yes.
You're the only. I guess you would be the one qualified to say that.
I can't believe.
Yes, this one
Can
takes
you-
the cake for me.
So you know why I'm angry.
Yeah.
Why does this take the cake from Ticker?
Ticker was incompetent. This movie hates me.
I can't believe I'm the most positive on this one.
This movie goes out of its way to look down on its audience. It has zero confidence in its audience to understand anything.
That's right. I just thought this was so
I was
generic
insulted by this
and
movie.
forgettable that I can't even get that mad about it.
And
And that's
was
my
insulted
positive
by this
review
movie.
of Maximum Conviction.
Half a star.
So,
if I could give it less, I would.
You can give it 0 stars, I guess. Letterboxd won't let you do that, but like you can do that if you.
No, I have to give it at least half a star because Letterboxd won't let me give it less than that.
You haven't even posted the last like 30 movies on Letterboxd anyway. Do what you want to do.
The official Steven See It All rating is 0 stars, but the Letterboxd rating is half a star by necessity.
No, I mean, when I saw Maximum Conviction, Maximum Security, Maximum Firepower, to use its full title, starring Steven Seagal and Stone Cold Steve Austin, I thought, sure, like, this is so, like, I'm forgetting the movie as I'm watching it, but it was like a 1.5 star, like, this exists. It still has, like, you know, gross misogyny in it, but, like, not nearly as bad as we've seen within the last, like, 3 or 4 movies. Like, it still has, like, poorly paced action and, like, you know, very uninteresting to watch, you know, gunfights, but, like, it didn't offend me to nearly as high of a degree.
It has a rape gang.
It does, but in this, which we should give a disclaimer for this one.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
this is, again, how these movies are great on a curved, where we just recently had to watch a movie that, for, you know, just gratuitous, absolutely unnecessary reasons, uses rape as a plot device with the villain. This one has like an attempted, implied rape as like a completely gratuitous, unnecessary, gross, misogynistic plot device. So I'm like, okay, we're slightly,
Man, that's
it's a low bar, but we're
It's about as low as the bar can get.
it's about as low as the bar can get. But it's like the one prisoner tries to sexually assault the CIA intel courier lady, Samantha.
Sure.
And it's gross and it's completely unnecessary. And
She doesn't matter. She's literally a MacGuffin.
also, like, it's
She
really strange
literally
because this isn't even like a moment for Seagal to white knight.
Yes.
It's like this other woman, again, in like a weirdly misogynistic way, how they pit, like, you know, the 2 female characters against each other. Like, this other woman who hates her comes and saves her and is like, I still hate you. And, like, you know, like, it's just...
I thought maybe, hey, this will be a moment where like they bond for a second because a woman saving another woman from sexual violence. Nope. She just threatens more sexual violence afterwards.
She's like, no, I just need that intel chip that's implanted in you. You are literally just meat to me. Yeah, actually, now that we're talking about it, maybe this is dropping down even worse. I don't know. I just like could not even care about this movie enough to get mad about it. Maybe I'll drop from 1.5 stars to 1 star. You know, you've persuaded me because the movie is gross and just gratuitous. But
they literally objectify the main woman.
she is $200 million.
Yeah.
But again, see, this is the problem. All I'm saying is this movie clears a very, very low bar. Because this movie was not written by Seagal. Of course, the woman that he rescues, the CIA lady with all the money, falls in love with him. But like they ride off into the sunset together. But there's no just like random topless while he's fully clothed like sex scene.
No, that
Like
that
in
did
every
not
way,
happen,
it is
no.
a very slight improvement on the problems that we have with the Seagal movie.
What are we even talking about? That's so awful.
Like it is still gross. But
I
you're like,
want
wow,
you
that
to
was
listen
slightly
to
less gross
yourself.
than the last one I had to watch.
Like, please, like, just think about what you're saying.
So it is
Is that really a bar that we want to allow anyone to clear? Like,
maybe
is that?
clearing the bar is the wrong word.
I think he hit the bar and bounced off of it.
He tripped and nosedived, but just
He
caught
just-
himself.
He stumbled over the bar. But like just compared to the last like 10 movies we've watched, it is slightly less gross in every way.
I guess.
Except this sprinkles on this just detestable. I hate my own audience.
This is true. Also, I don't know if
Seasoning.
I don't know if we fully talked about this. This movie stars the two Steves, Steven Seagal and Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're on the poster together. They're best buddies.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, like Seagal splits this like, you know, 200 million with him. They interact throughout the course of this movie about the same amounts that Seagal interacts with Machete in Machete. Like
Yes.
how he shows up
Just
at the
about.
beginning to like kill his wife and then kind of video chats the bad guys throughout and then like shows up at the end to have a sword fight. Steven Seagal and Stone Cold Steve Austin have like a scene together on screen, like at the start of the movie. They, I think, literally like Craigslist misconnections briefly bump into each other before deciding that they need to split up again for no reason.
Yes.
And then at the end, they
Well,
have
I
a
have a
scene
comment
which
about
is
this.
shot very weirdly in a way that makes me think they weren't actually talking to each other because there's like no over shoulder shots. It's just Seagal's face, Stone Cold Steve Austin's face, Seagal's face, Stone Cold Steve Austin's face. Like, but like with like with completely different backgrounds, completely different like lighting, completely different like color. Like that's their conversation at the end. That is like the only time these two characters actually interact with each other.
And every single time they interact, it is to discuss as briefly as possible their plans of attack. What are we going to do in the next scene? And to explain to the audience what their plans are.
Just to let
That
everybody
is
know.
all of their lines when they're in the same
So
room
it's-
are not about character, not about their relationship, not even really about the plot, but just what the blocking for the next scene is going to look like.
It's basically the perfect representation of male friendship. But no, you are right that their conversations are not even surface level because that would imply there is a surface to them. And they are so infrequent as to essentially be in separate movies.
Favorite lines? We're not so different, you
Do
and
we
I.
have-
That's my
I was gonna say, do we have favorite lines?
I do, but mine's terrible.
Yours?
Oh.
So, at one point, the I don't know if was she even given a name. The second female prisoner, the woman that was like working with the baddies. I don't even know if she was given a name. Probably has one in the credits.
Charlotte.
Huh?
Yes.
Scarlet.
Not Scarlet.
Scarlet,
Stop saying
okay.
Scarlet. Charlotte. CH. Charlotte.
Charlotte. Well, okay. Charlotte. Sorry, couldn't hear you, mumbler. Charlotte. She is trying to chase down. What was the other woman's name?
Samantha.
I need to pull up the credits
Samantha.
because they don't. I need to say like this sounds really terrible. This sounds like I'm a person because I can only not remember the women's names and that sounds awful. They don't say their names in the movie. The men shout each other's names constantly. They don't shout each other's names. They're constantly referred to as the female prisoners. What was this movie
Hans
called?
is not a misogynist. The movie is.
Maximum Conviction. Oh my god. Okay,
Hans
Charlotte and
contracted
Samantha.
contact misogyny.
Oh god. Ugh. Okay, so Samantha is the object, the one who has the $200
Literally
million. It's
an objectified
so awful.
woman.
Like there's There's no better representation of that as a terrible characteristics in movies as in this movie. It's so ridiculous. So Charlotte is chasing down Samantha, chases her past Stone Cold Steve Austin. Samantha gets away. Charlotte has to fight him, and he he walks up to her, drops his gun, walks up to her, and says some cheesy line like, "You okay, baby?" And she spins around and hits him over the head with a 2x4, drops him to the floor, beats him, and then she runs away trying to chase after Samantha. He gets up and says, "Oh, that's my kind of woman." And then at the end of the movie, when she dies, it's an awful line. When she dies, he walks over her body and says to the mercenaries that are like high-fiving each other because they just killed all the bad guys, he goes, "Which one of you mother killed my future ex-wife?"
Yes.
I just couldn't help but laugh. It's so stupid.
But also, like, he says it like he's just walking. Her body's just on the floor. He just kind of, like, walks past it like...
At the end of this movie, the heroes come off as the biggest monsters.
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they're all monsters, but...
Everyone in this movie, except for Samantha, the literal object, is a monster. Uncaring, unfeeling, they don't care about other people at all. They crack jokes at the corpses of the fallen monsters.
Although,
all
you know
terrible.
what is funny about struggling to remember how you mentioned how they don't say their names? There is a random, there is a woman who like works in the kitchen, like she's the cook for this prison, and she does not affect the plot at all. She doesn't matter at all. It's really weird because they kind of like set up a relationship between her and like one of the guards, and like this guard has like lines in the movie, like is a named character with lines, and then like the two of them like hunker down and like, you know, try to like survive in the kitchen, and then they don't affect anything. They just get shot. They just die. Like that's just end of their storyline, just completely gone. But I remember her name, Esmeralda, because they say it like actually multiple times. Like for this character that does not matter, it's like, "Oh, why don't you boys come in? I'll see if Esmeralda will stay later and cook you up something." And then they walk in like, "Esmeralda, you here?" Like they say the name of this random person who works in the kitchen who doesn't affect the plot in any way more than
side character.
The two main female characters who very much affect the plot.
Yes.
Right. And I swear to God, I don't think I heard Samantha or Charlotte
Esmeralda
once this entire
times.
movie. It's so, oh my God. It's so frustrating. It's just frustrating. It makes me angry. It makes me very, very angry watching these movies lately because they're just so, they're not just like bad movies. They're irritating.
So you know what I think it is?
What do you think it is?
So I think we've tried to like imply a certain evolution, not even imply, outright state. Like we've talked about these movies before and we're like, ooh, we are entering like the new epoch of Seagal. Like we are seeing like...
I have something to say about that.
Well, I think... Oh, excuse me. Sorry. The dinner.
What do you think?
Just thinking about themes of evolution,
you
like, you know, kind of felt like these movies were evolving for a while. How to explain this? You know, like the bee orchid. There's this like type of orchid, like the Ophrys apifera or something. I can't remember the exact, like that evolved to look like a bee. So then what would happen is that like it evolved to look like a female bee, like the petals of the flower look like a bee. So male bees would see it and be like, "Hey, a lady bee," and try to mate with it. But really they were just helping to like pollinate it. But now these orchids have been around for so long and like they have not changed their shape, even though the original bee that they would try to court has gone completely extinct. So we have this extinct species of bee that we can't even see anymore, other than we can see like in the flowers, like the petals kind of looked like what this bee once looked for. And they like specifically evolved to match the shape of this like target audience of bee that literally doesn't exist anymore, has completely died out. And like now just kind of have to somehow still survive in this world. That honestly, I think that is like what the Seagal movie is in like 2014. Like it feels like they cultivated, like there is just such a specific audience that these movies like were literally designed for, and that audience is extinct. It's gone. So now we just have this like impression of what this audience would like hypothetically if it was still around. So we're like, oh,
Yeah.
this movie
Yeah.
kind of looking at the pedals of this movie, they just like weird, like throwaway, gross, misogynistic lines and like poorly made action, as long as like the tough main character gets to be a badass about everything and doesn't have to answer to no one and can just be a total but he's still the good guy. Like, that movie shouldn't exist anymore. That movie doesn't have a currently like pollinating
Arguably,
audience.
never should have existed.
It never should have existed, but like it is just like it is still just a remnant of
There was
like,
a market for it.
of something that is not there anymore. Like you can even
and
still
just yeah.
you can even
Yeah.
still
For the-
have like other like similar action movies, but like the specific cut of just like the completely irredeemable, annoying, like frustrating, like it's frustrating to us because it literally was not made for any of us who are currently alive, like on this planet. Like it is for a long extinct species.
And I want to say, just for our listener, Zach's explanation of that had more setup, payoff, and poetic framing than this movie.
Wow, low bar, thank you. Oh, I'm honored. I'm touched. Jesus.
Like,
That's a very good metaphor, though. It's a good point.
Like it's
I'm
it's
gonna be thinking
quite
about that
literally
being Lily.
not for us and not for anyone who is like watching movies today.
it's for Steven Seagal.
It's for Steven Seagal.
It's just another ego boost.
And I don't know how he keeps doing this. What I really want to crack is his secret to how he gets these movies made.
That he operates a
gotta
money
be money
laundering company
laundering.
called Steamroller Productions.
It has
It's
to
Russian
be.
money
There's,
laundering.
There's
That's
no
why they're
other
changing their logo
explanation.
every other movie.
Honestly.
But not changing the name.
Well, that's hard.
Well, because then they
That's
can like
extra
say
paperwork.
they have like a graphic
You
designer
gotta
on
update
payroll.
all the documents and
Yeah. Oh, they pay that graphic designer way more money than he actually makes. That's how you launder money.
Yeah.
And so he just says that it's, pre-washed monies to like wink to the IRS and say that he doesn't know how money laundering works, but he knows how money laundering works.
Well, see, and that's part. And here's the thing: is why else would you have a movie where like people in a Chinese laundromat in the middle of Paris, France, are like exchanging greenbacks because that's part of the whole money laundering scheme. Yeah, factors in. That's part of it.
He was telling us the whole time.
Yeah, the clues were right there, Mr. Policeman. All you had to do was look.
What do the numbers mean?
See, is that the second like Call of Duty reference that we've made this?
Yes.
I don't actually. Going back to our favorite lines, I don't know if I had it. I think my favorite line was whenever he says like, "What are you going to do with the money?" Because I was just completely baffled with like, where did this come from? This was not set up like if you stop the bad guys, you get the money. That's not the plot you were in. But then you get to the
No.
end and it's like, oh, we stopped the bad guys, so we get the money, right? It just completely.
No.
I was like, when was this introduced? Like that took me by surprise.
What made the bad guys is that they were trying to get the money.
And then you're like, oh, hey, I'm just gonna keep that money.
Free money.
yeah.
Just a couple more dumb things to point out. Steven Seagal, with his automatic shotgun, has the butt of his shotgun resting
Oh,
on top of his shoulder.
I already took a
Not in the crook of
screenshot.
his
I put a
shoulder.
screenshot in the folder
On the
that will be in the show
top of
notes.
his shoulder.
The way he holds the gun is maybe the worst way he's ever held a gun so far.
Yes,
It's
bad.
absurd. And it doesn't, there's no recoil in the slightest. Nothing.
Well, and it shows
Not
him
even
firing his shotgun on full auto, and he's just like spraying all over the place because he has zero control over it.
It's so ridiculous. And it's like how can you not even try?
Not even try.
He's not even trying.
Not even trying.
It's so ridiculous.
So a bunch of people have like carrying straps on their guns, and they take the strap off over their head to replace the magazine whenever they go empty, every single time. Not just like drop the magazine, put a new one in, but like remove the gun from their person, inspect it, eject the magazine, put in a new one, try the slide a few times, and then put the strap back on and then get back into the action. It takes everybody
Of
like
course.
a full minute to reload their weapon.
How else do you
Is
do it?
this question? Is
Yeah.
this maybe like the highest density of like attempts at like cool like action movie like one-liners that we've seen in any Skull movie?
Mayhaps.
Because it feels like with both Seagal and Stone Cold Steve Austin trying to each like have their time like that you have two of them both trying to have like the cool like action movie like one-liners, and also B like after the first half or the first like 20 minutes of the movie where they're like reading off of cue cards for like just saying exposition, and like Steven Skull's literally forgetting his line halfway through each line. The second half of the movie is like bad. Just consisting of those like badass one-liners. So you have two main characters both trying to have the main character one-liners, and also both those main characters only know how to speak in these one-liners. Like, I think it reached a certain point where just like the only words they were saying were like, he throws this dude who gets like skewered by like a weight bench, and then he's like, no pain, no gain. And then, you know, this smiling face, it's the last thing you're going to see before you hit your grave. And then at the end, like, it feels like they're trying to set up this bromance thing when it's like, hey, remember, it ain't over till we're dead. Like, it just feels like they only know how to speak
the one last mission.
One-liners.
Yeah, we're gonna have one more mission, you know.
Yeah.
I really like that. I really enjoy that the screenshot you got of him holding the butt of his shotgun well above his shoulder, which makes no sense at all. And it looks awkward to hold. Like, it would be noticeably awkward to hold a rifle like that.
Like, you should look at the screenshot, but if you don't, the butt of his shotgun is at his like ear or eye level.
It's like at his ears. Yeah,
like he's pointing it downward.
It's just not even natural. Like you would be doing that and realize, oh, this isn't right.
Like, this cannot
but
possibly.
Whatever.
Like,
I really enjoy that in that screenshot, the subtext there, the subtitles for the dialogue during that part, they're in the final, like the final boss fight between his minions and the baddie's minions. And the bad guy says, we have you outnumbered 2-1. And Seagal goes, it ain't the amount, it's the skill. As he's holding his shotgun so obviously wrong. It ain't the amount, it's the skill.
It's horrible. Bad movie all around. It's my this is it's
frustrating.
Seagal movie I dislike the most. Half a star. I'd give it less if I could. The end.
I honestly can't get past that you dislike this more than Ticker.
I've seen Ticker twice. I would rather watch Ticker a third time than watch this again.
Really? That is wild.
This
is
brutal.
The most divergent you've ever been in an episode. You're like doing a Hans or a Zach or something.
It is.
From this discussion, because
am I like the even keel guy on this trio? Okay.
No, this time no. This time you're going off the gut, which I can respect.
No,
you're firing from the hip.
I'm
prisoners.
taking a bold
Firing from the hip.
I will say you have dropped it for me, like from analyzing this more. I've gone down to 1 star, and I think it just dropped from like 14 to like 24, like on my ranked list.
Nice. Good.
I said, you know what, actually this was pretty trash. Also, you know the kind of like critiques that just like do not matter, but also deeply matter? Yeah. Because you're like, 35 movies into watching Steven Seagal movies, so you just like start to notice these things that happen, like that are so minimal but keep happening, so it just bugs you. At the start of this movie, we've like, I feel like every other episode we're talking about like how annoying like the title sequence is in some way. Like this one, it's not just doing weird, blurry, gyrating women or anything. It is like introducing the setting, like while the opening credits are going on, like there's actual film happening, but it's just the sound effect they use for like every starring this person. It's like they're using the same exact sound effect every single time, like a as the text comes on, and then like a as like the text goes away. It like hurt my ears, and I swear we were 5 minutes in and we're at like the 15th co-executive producer's pet goldfish, and it's like it's trying to do like the kind of military type, like it's trying to do like spy ops, but like and it like hurts. Because I looked at it, I'm like, how are we like at the 5 minute mark and they're still doing credits and they're using the same awful sound for everyone? How can you mess up opening credits this badly and this often? Like, how is this still a problem, and how is it worse here than it's been?
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
It's an achievement.
Yeah, and that's just what these movies are. They're still messing up the same things we talked about like 20 movies ago.
This should be obvious to anyone. Someone that has never seen a movie before would be able to look at this and say, oh, that seems wrong.
I mean, even like the person editing it should be like, the editor of this movie has to watch it more than once. They'd be like, wow, that's really annoying to listen to for like 8 hours straight. Let's take that out.
Can we like put up 3 of the executive producers at
Executive
the same time?
producers, boom, 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 boom. Here they are. Like, it is literally
Yeah.
co-executive producer, co-executive producer, co-executive producer, and every single one introduced with like a bleep, bleep. It hurts.
It's pretty bad. It's horrible.
Brutal. Aaron, are you bleeding in
Oh,
your
a
shoulder?
little bit.
I was kind of wondering
Don't
about
worry
that, but
about
I
me.
didn't want to interrupt the pod. He seemed
You think this is getting shot? This isn't getting shot.
Whoa, what a deep cut!
I am so ashamed of myself that I can make those deep cuts.
That's like you planned that.
he shot himself just so he could like have that line. Oh, you want to know what else this movie does? That this movie is messed up like
What?
40 times. They do another
What?
thing where Steven Seagal is given a hint that something bad is going to happen, and like, and in trying to look like he's doing something about it, he looks more incompetent because he like when
Yeah.
he goes to his buddies at the cigar bar, they're like, "Oh yeah, we found a note being passed by the prisoners that says we're gonna attack the prison and try to steal these 2 inmates at this time at this date." And Seagal's like, "Huh, I guess we should head back and take care of that, I guess." And I'm like, if you weren't out like, you know, doing your target run, you would be there to help stop this. If you're gonna come and talk about how everybody else is incompetent when you literally left. Like, they didn't need to
the black
they
site
didn't
prison.
need to introduce this plot of like they find this note from like 2 prisoners that says we're going to do the bad thing, the main plot. He could have just been there at the prison with his guys, and then like things happen.
Yeah.
They make him look more incompetent by trying to introduce something.
Yeah.
But he had to have a scene where he sits around, smokes cigars, and drinks whiskey with 2 women on his lap.
Yeah, this movie sucks.
Of course.
That had to happen. Are you coming around to where I'm at?
It's still not nearly low enough for me because, like I said, like the last 4 movies that we've watched, with the exception of Machete, have like been so much worse. But no,
I don't know. This is solidly number 4 on the worst list. for
okay.
me.
I won't be quite that negative, but it's not great. It's
Ticker, Submerged. Can't remember the name, but whatever that other one was called that they took the good movie away from us and gave us. The Keeper. That's what it was. The Bodyguard. That's number 3, and then this one's number 4 for sure.
See, I have Ticker, Submerged, and Against the Dark as my bottom 3.
Tell you what, though, I think things are gonna upset that list here pretty soon because we're getting into talking about eras.
New era.
We're in a new
can
era.
tell by
We're
looking at the
officially
poster.
in a new era. You can tell by looking at the poster. You can tell by looking at Seagal's getup. He's no longer in a leather trench coat. Now, that might just be a symptom of him being in, like, military garb, kind of.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But we're officially in the era of, like, skinny sunglasses, backwards ball cap, and this is the last movie where he does not have a goatee.
we're in the we get goatee Seagal next movie. Oh,
We're in goatee era Seagal now.
that is
This was like a little. This was like an intro to that with the backwards ball cap and the glasses because he has them on.
Ooh,
in every
that
single one
is
of
like
these
the final
after this.
like evolutionary dead end. That is like the vestigial like, you know, flipper legs of the evolutionary line. That is the Steven Seagal movie. That is like this
evolutionary.
this
dead
creature
end.
has like 14 different organs that are not only useless but actively kill it. Like evolutionary tract of this specific species of movie.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh, I'm kind of excited.
I'm
now,
not looking.
gonna lie.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not looking forward to the next few.
We are in for a
What is
treat.
next? Who has the list up? Oh, what should we watch instead?
Oh. Ooh, I haven't actually thought about this.
You can watch 1979's Escape from Alcatraz if you want a prison movie.
I was actually going to say The Rock.
Oh, The Rock. Read the Iliad.
How dare you bring that into this discussion?
This makes a reference to the Iliad, so.
Oh my God! Just look at these posters.
Oh, please, please, please,
Oh my
please.
God!
Yes.
So
good
we have
podcast
up
content.
next.
Posters.
Up next is well, just look at here. Look on my letterbox. I have lists split into thirds for all of the Seagal films that we're watching. And if you look at the last list, film 369, Advanced Seagal, we just finished maximum conviction. Now the next one up is force of execution, and if you look at the posters for
Danny
all of the
Trejo's
ones
back.
after force of execution, it is sunglasses, goatee, like black painted on pointy hairline, and a backwards ball cap in every single one. They're all identical.
Amazing.
Wait, hold on. This can't be right.
What can't be right?
I'm just looking at this poster for Force of Execution. I'm very upset.
Why?
What's wrong?
Because this is...
Oh, it has Danny Trejo on it. Is he not in the cast?
No. That's the problem. Is this is Force of Execution starring Steven Seagal, Ving Rhames, and Danny Trejo?
Oh my
Ving
gosh.
Rhames? What?
No.
How did that happen?
No. You deserve better than that.
Well, hey, I'm looking at reviews, and the top review on Letterboxd is starts off with all caps. Of all of the old fat Seagal films I've seen, this was by far the most entertaining.
Well, there we go.
There we go. Look forward to that.
Join us
next
Oh,
next
no.
week for Goatee
There were so
Seagal.
many whispery Seagal lines that I cheesy grinned all through.
No.
Oh, that doesn't... I don't get cheesy grins
Nope.
from whispery Seagal lines. I get angry.
Get ready for Goatee Seagal. It's on.
It's on. Back... Oh, man. And look at these posters. He's the same in every single one of these after this. Even one where he looks like he inexplicably plays a Japanese guy again.
Great. You have that to look forward to.
For my movie that you should watch instead, the Grand Budapest Hotel has like a prison break. You can watch the Grand Budapest Hotel instead. I watched a couple years back. I watched Papillon with Rami Malek. You could watch Papillon. That's like a prison escape movie. I can't even remember the title. I don't even care enough about it to look up the title. I remember a couple years back when I was in like high school or something, watching like a Luc Besson prison escape film, but it's in like space prison. That probably
Space
doesn't hold up
prison.
well, and probably also has like weird, gross, misogynistic, like sexual violence in it, because he's like rescuing this gal from like space prison. But like, it's probably at least like somewhat more campy fun than this. So you probably watch.
Oh, if you want another Wes Anderson film with prison in it, The French Dispatch. It's an anthology film. One of the short films within that takes place in a prison.
The French Dispatch, more like the French mid match, because that movie was mid. I'm sorry, I didn't love it.
I liked it.
That's
Oh
fine.
my God.
I liked it. Tonight is controversial opinion Aaron night. I really like that one.
Not
That
something
it
we
was-
usually get.
Fine. Grand Budapest
No,
was
it
better.
wasn't fine,
You
it
could
was
watch
good.
Grand Budapest.
Grand Budapest was better. I will give you.
You can
that.
watch Fantastic Mr. Fox. Okay, that's my last one.
Oh, Fantastic Mr. Fox is the best one though.
Okay, so next week, Force of Execution,
Force of
Danny
Execution,
Trejo,
sure.
Ving Rhames, and also, unfortunately, Steven
wow.
Seagal. You know, I'm just going to preemptively say that next week, since like Ving Rhames is in this, that I'm just going to be recommending like the Mission Impossible movies. Like,
Well, yeah.
I'm just going to say like whatever. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to say you should watch one of the Mission Impossible movies that has Ving Rhames
Yeah.
as Luthor in it.
You can take Mission Impossible 1. I'll take Mission Impossible 2. Aaron can take Mission Impossible 3.
Yeah.
Wait, you're going to take
Okay.
Mission Impossible 2, Hans?
I don't know.
I'm
going to
take Mission Impossible 2. I'll take Mission Impossible 2. I love Mission Impossible 2.
Okay, I will take Mission.
This is controversial opinion Aaron night.
I'll take Aaron.
I love Mission
That's why they
Impossible
call
2.
him Aaron Hot Take Lynch.
Have you seen the newest one yet?
What?
Have you seen the
I've
newest one
not.
yet?
Aaron.
Aaron.
I know.
Actually, is it out on Blu-ray
I
yet?
don't know if it's out on Blu-ray. I think it's out on like digital. We should probably like finish our episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, real quick before we stop recording, remember how I forgot to unmute myself after I coughed earlier? I think I might have been muted during the clap, so we might have to like reclap on our way out here.
Okay.
Oh,
Valid.
come on.
I'm sorry.
but at least that's
I
actually
just
easier.
I
Is that a
haven't-
hardware mute?
Yeah, I have a mute button here.
Okay.
Although honestly, I'm not
It's-
gonna
it's
lie.
just
Clap
better.
at the
I
end
like
is probably
this.
easier to align than like the clap where we currently do it.
It doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure that we don't like miss
Okay.
that. Anyway.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm just gonna cut it. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Just stop.
Okay, so you find our ending in there somewhere.
That means one of us has to die.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
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 Stone Cold Steve Austin's face. Seagal's face. Stone Cold Steve Austin's face. Wow, that was slightly less gross than the last one I had to watch.